Okay, welcome back to Sika Strength, welcome back to Owen's Vlogs, and welcome back to an Adidas Leistung first session. So very kindly, a subscriber sent these in. Michael, thank you so much for sending these in. These are nearly impossible to get. These are harder to get than ROM 2s at the moment. You just literally can't get them. There wasn't that many made. There wasn't a whole lot of sold. They didn't get that popular. The second version came out pretty quickly, and I kind of regret not picking up a pair at the time, getting a new pair, but I'm quite happy to have them now. So shout out to Michael. And these are a very interesting shoe. They've got the boa design instead of laces. Apparently it was very expensive to manufacture, and that's why Adidas stopped using it. Also, if it breaks, it's fucked really. So that is quite interesting. So we're going to give them a go first session. I just wanted to record the first session and just see how they are and record my own thoughts here. Now, it's not really a review because you probably won't be able to get them. So it's more of a experience, a thought through what makes a good shoe. And over the years, we get more contact from people making weightlifting shoes, and sometimes people listen and sometimes people don't listen. And to upgrade, of course, my own capacities, my own knowledge, the more shoes you try, the better. Let's get a session in on them, and then we'll go from there and see what we're doing. So tonight we're doing snatches, snatch, high pull, and snatch. Not too sure how heavy, somewhere between 90 and 100, I think, and some squats. So we'll get a nice gambit of training. I'm pretty optimistic how these are. They fit quite narrow, as Adidas are wont to do. You know, I have quite a wide foot, so this is actually half a size bigger than normal, but they're very, very light. Quite a high heel on them, so it will be interesting to see how this affects lifting, and I'm excited to see how that goes. It's a generous t-shirt. It's a pretty cool t-shirt as well, by the way. Okay, so let's get lifting. I'll work my way through the lifting. Snatch, high pull, snatch pulls, squats. We'll meet back here after and see just how good they are.
Governor that would end up taking over Janice Howard by the idea of a subservient race to be inefficient and antiquated, and thus allowed the revolt to continue without Nevermund's authorities getting involved. Even still, it took several centuries for the Goliath to be completely free and to become an independent power in their own right. By the middle centuries of the 40th millennium, they established themselves as a new clan house and a major player within the high, and they are quite literally addicted to the games they use to continuously grow their muscles way past their human limitations. And sure, on an individual level, this may seem like a bad thing, but the house masters of Goliath have turned this into an advantage for the entirety of the clan. They've come up with these things called camp collars that are fitted around the neck and just a little bit of steroids and drugs at a time. This keeps the gangers from ever having to experience the deadly withdrawals that would happen if they were turkey, and it makes sure they stay addicted and thus to protect their assets. It's not exactly uncommon for the Goliath to suddenly grow frustrated with any kind of negotiation, just decide that taking what's yours would ultimately be easier and save everybody some time. And when you're down to resistance, that goes wrong. As 150 pounds of we have a club and some near dust on a mysterious shipwreck and ended up taking shelter as drudges, serf workers, peasants, and, of course, all of their indentured servants. Now, in other gangs, these individuals wouldn't be seen as anything better than slaves, but World views them a little differently. Every single person, no matter where they come from, has potential. They just need to prove it. To do so, they'll be permitted to join one of these families, offering them a way out of the crushing poverty of Nevermunda. And this philosophy makes a lot of sense, as it's a prominently held belief within Orlok society that hard work leads to both power and ensured productivity. As long as you can work, there is a place for you in house or farm. Be you man, woman, child, elderly, disabled, it doesn't matter. And whereas that sounds good on paper, to it, you wouldn't be seen as anything better than slaves. But Orlok views them a little different. Every single person, no matter where they come from, has potential. They just need to prove it. If they do so, they'll be permitted to join one of these families, offering them a way out of the crushing poverty of Nevermunda. And offering them a way out of the crushing poverty of Nevermunda.
Okay, I've seen enough. They feel really weird and not a good kind of weird. Not a kind of weird where you're gonna get used to it. So the heel is too high and the front toe is too narrow and feels bad in the pull. Feels really bad in the catch, which is strange. So I'm just gonna go back to the loose. I'll try them again for squatting, see how they feel, but I've seen enough for the snatches tonight. That is, you've done enough, sir.
And also the most technologically superior. Their laborers are highly skilled in the production of tech, and the entire house is dependent upon their efforts for its continued existence. And from everyone else's perspective, how they're capable of making these wondrous devices just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Warfare in Necromunda is normally carried out, thus their base of operations, into Hive Primus, as to better keep it safe. At the time of the 38th millennium, the Bansar had established themselves as a massive center of power. At the time, current most technologically powerful house, House Herod. These guys did not like the Bansar to muscle in. Or maybe if they had the funding, manpower, and data vaults of a galaxy-spanning faction like the Adeptus Mechanicus, then maybe it could. But at the end of the day, they don't. And it's not like they can just contact the Mechanicus for help. If they could do that, the Tech Priests of Mars would immediately launch a crusade on Necromunda to take it by storm. Continued use of this malfunctioning STC is the trusted council of master engineers that watch over the STC. Underneath them are one or two primes, who are basically like middle-rank overseers. Further down the line, you have the auditors, which function as the prime's lieutenants, and everyone beneath them is either a tech or a scientist, which are used as catch-all terms for the purpose of a technological paradise. Each is easily sufficient for providing the gang with their basic needs, recharging their survival suits, repairing their weapons, as well as being used for basic fabrication and storage. Bansar users will often pursue the purity of technology by dedicating themselves to the mastery of one of the many mysterious disciplines of the machine. The presentations will be kind of lame, but branding is super important. Whether it be through the unity of House Orlok, the over-the-top establishments of House, the faith of Codor, the advanced equipment of Bansar, or the armor and clothing of House Goliath, conceptually is designed to show off as much of their physique as possible. This sends a message that they are not to be, thus acting as both his eyes and ears beyond the walls of his palace. These rumors are fueled further as the clan seems to have perks and privileges within the Hive that no other clan houses. The gang has access to things such as lucrative trade contracts, off-world tech, and even Hive districts specifically desirable to them. Perhaps this is an exchange territory. He also secretly funds a proxy war between them and all of the other houses. Although many believe this to be true, and certain elements of it may indeed hold some merit, why would they choose to not use it now if they have such a tight stranglehold on the royal family? This most likely is just another misdirection created by the house.
So you probably saw from me not wearing them after 70 kilo on the snatch that not a great shoe for snatching. So that doesn't mean they're a bad shoe. They are just a very particular shoe for a very particular style of person. So let's just talk through the training real quick. So I'm doing my high pull plus snatch, 2 complexes, worked up to 95 kilos, which is a 5 kilo progression on last week. Should give you a bit of a representation of what I was talking about in that programming video. I have attached the Rode to the GoPro finally, so hopefully audio quality will be even better. So we worked up to 95 kilos, did 7 sets of 1+2, feeling a bit weird on the warm-up. Shoes didn't feel great. I wanted to get a productive session in. It's not a review because you can't get them, so I didn't feel too bad about taking them off and switching back to the Lu Xiaojun shoes. So worked up to 95. Always again with the third rep being the best rep of the sets. So I just finished that pull a little bit better, that extension a little bit better. Sometimes I'm so close to the barbell and finishing the extension, it looks like I'm jumping forward, but I'm just getting through really well. And compared to the bad first rep where I'm not extending fully, and then I'm extending much better in the second rep, it looks much better from my objective point of view, or my subjective point of view probably. So nice volume done there. Then just 4 sets of 3 on the high pull at 95 after. Obviously it's a lot of pulls on the working sets. There was only to do a lot of extra pulling on the high pull. The high pull is great, but you don't want to over fatigue it. You want to keep it at appropriate weights and an appropriate height. Heavier pulls are better for heavier weights when you're not doing a high pull. So normal snatch pulls or snatch pulls with a deadlift, or snatch pulls with a shrug, or snatch deadlifts with a shrug. So moving on then to the back squats, 220 for 5. I haven't done 220 for 5 in months, so it's all been threes, you know, between 1 and 4 sets of 3, as you've seen me maintaining. And as I lose weight and reduce my squatting intensity by like 75%, and volume and frequency is obviously down astronomically. I'm probably squatting at less than 10%, maybe 5% of my previous squat volume, but that felt pretty good. Weight was a little bit heavy on my back, but it's pretty late now. It's 10:30 at night, so I started training a little bit later due to some fatherly duties, which don't matter, shouldn't make a difference, but I'm not as switched on. I feel myself relaxing as I was putting my son to bed. We were lying in the dark and listening to relaxing white noise, and I was relaxing, so my body isn't as like hyped up. But speed was good on the snatches. Mobility was a bit weird. I've been doing a lot of mobility lately on my hips and my shoulders. Obviously, I've been getting treatment every week. I wasn't able to get it tonight. Lots of mobility. Snatches, really fresh. Felt in good connection with the barbell. Felt strong in the lockout. Happy with the squats. Now on to the shoes. So the Adidas Leistung would be great for someone who needs a higher heel height, who has a narrow foot and likes a lighter shoe. I like a lighter shoe. I think everyone should like a lighter shoe. But the extra heel height for me in snatching isn't what I need. I don't need to get my hips lower. I don't need to get my knees further forward. I need to be in a nice position where I have a perpendicular shin angle as the barbell passes the knee, and the higher heel height for me forces that and makes it a little bit worse. So I just need the right heel height. I definitely don't need a higher heel height in the bottom. I've a lot of dorsiflexion available to me, and too much isn't great in the bottom position of the snatch, so just enough is the right amount, and the usual 1 inch-ish or less is even perfect for me. Now moving on to the squats. Squats always feel good when you have an extra heel height on them, especially when you're used to squatting barefoot for the last few weeks. So that extra heel height makes those squats feel a bit nicer, but it's not always a good thing because in these shoes, they're very, very narrow. So you're higher, but you have a less stable base, so it actually feels a little bit weirder, and probably, to be honest, it's a little bit worse. But a good set at 220 there. Shoulders were a bit tight by the time I was getting there, so my grip is a bit too wide, so I should have brought that in a little bit and warmed up a little bit more in the external rotation, but I didn't. So my back position wasn't as good, but a nice set at 220. My hip is improving a lot, but it was a bit weird squatting in there, so no pain on those squats. So I've been working very, very hard on my hip, as many of you know, in the soft tissue related work. So it's still clicking a little bit as I'm squatting sometimes, specifically with that higher heel, but then the pain in the IT and hip flexor was non-existent on that set, or like 10%. So I'm very heartened by that. And I'll do a video soon just showing what I was doing to reduce the pain and it's nearly gone now. So I'm going to keep that up for another couple of weeks or a couple of months to make sure it stays away. And the stuff I'm doing needs to become more prehab now. And I'm very, very happy with that. So that is a nice win for anyone wondering about the kind of hip flex or hip stents or IT band pain. So it is reduced massively, and I didn't even notice it there at all warming up. So I'll probably go back to barefoot squats for a while. I might take a heavy squat for take it for a spin in a couple of weeks, maybe sometime the week after next, maybe, just to see what I have, if I feel good on a particular day, if it feels lighter. So good squatting. Good shoe for someone who'd need it, not the shoe for me, but it was great to try it and it was great to have them because it scratched that itch for me. And I'm pretty happy now that that is gone and I can move on with my life and probably try the Anta 2s at some stage. And I think I have pretty much all of the shoes, all of those bigger shoes tried out. And I've got to say, Liu Juns are still winning. My only problem with the Liu Juns is they just don't look great. And I said that in the original interview, I don't love the look of them. And that's testament to how good they are because I'm still wearing them. I still think the pink are the best looking. I don't like the all black. I really don't like the all white ones. I don't like the gold and silver at all. But once again, they are a great shoe. So it is testament to them. So I'm very happy with that. And they are quite nice on the squats. So good session. Great fun to try the Leistungs. If any of you have them, I know some people really like them. They are not a good shoe for a lot of people if you have a wide foot, especially on the squatting. That extra heel height, I think there's a great spot in the market for a higher heel for a lot of people when you're squatting. There's lots of people who would benefit. Fitz, for example, comes to mind. This higher heel, I'm going to get him to try them for squats and see if he likes them, obviously post rhabdo rehab. But I am not that guy. I don't need that extra dorsiflexion. In fact, what usually happens is that extra dorsiflexion gives me a bit of butt wink when I'm squatting sometimes, so it kind of messes up my squat. So it's not a great thing for me. And when I have a narrower shoe on, I'm more inclined to stand a little bit narrower in my stance. For some reason, I feel a bit more exposed when I stand wider, which obviously isn't good. We don't want to be narrower in that start position or in the squatting position. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Pretty novel experience. I think the Anta 2s will be next up for one of these videos and we'll probably have to do a proper review. And I hope you enjoyed today's video.